This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome to Chapter 1 of Cryptocurrency Chronicles, The Rise of Digital Cash. In today's episode, titled The Birth of Bitcoin, a Financial Uprising, we're diving into the fascinating world of Bitcoin's origins and the key figures who made it all possible. Get ready to uncover the stories behind the creation of this revolutionary digital currency. Let's get started. In the middle of a global financial crisis, someone using a fake name drops a 9-page PDF on an obscure mailing list. No press release, no company, no pitch deck. Yet that quiet document dares to suggest, we can have money without trusting any bank at all. Most people ignored that PDF at first. It looked more like a math puzzle than a manifesto. Timestamps, cryptographic hashes, blocks, nodes. But hidden in the fine print was something radical. A public ledger that no single company, government, or server controlled. Yet everyone could verify. Early cypherpunks treated it like an open-source experiment, running the code on old laptops, mining coins that were literally worth less than a pizza coupon. Still, a tiny community started to form around an idea that felt both fragile and unstoppable. The rules were baked into software, not policy meetings. New coins would appear on a fixed schedule. No bailouts, no emergency money printing. Just a system that would run so long as at least one honest machine stayed online. At first, Bitcoin felt less like a new form of cash and more like a strange online game played by insomniac programmers. Forums filled with debates over obscure details, how big blocks should be, how long confirmations ought to take, what to do if governments woke up and tried to shut it down. Instead of shareholder meetings, there were GitHub commits and flame wars on mailing lists. The rules weren't printed in law books, they lived in code everyone could inspect. If you disagreed strongly enough, you didn't write a complaint, you could copy the code, tweak the rules, and launch your own competing currency. Early on, the system felt almost too simple to be dangerous. New coins appeared as software rewards, the program ticked along, and a few hobbyists swapped tiny amounts like digital trading cards. But quietly, some people noticed details that made this experiment feel less like a toy and more like a protest. First, the cap. No more than 21 million units would ever exist. That wasn't a guideline, it was enforced by the same rules that decided whether a transaction was valid. If you tried to create extra coins, the network would treat them like counterfeit bills and refuse to recognize them. In a world where central banks could add trillions with a policy announcement, this hard ceiling looked almost confrontational. Second, the rhythm. New units were released on a predictable schedule, and every 210,000 blocks, the flow was cut in half. Early participants watched the first of these halvings like a solar eclipse, part rare technical event, part social ritual. Would miners keep securing the network for fewer new coins? Would users care? Each time the reward dropped, the system didn't blink. Blocks kept arriving, coins kept moving. Then there was the trail. Because every movement of coins was stamped into the history forever, anyone could see when early addresses suddenly became active or when huge sums shifted. This transparency made certain myths harder to maintain. Rumors that the creator secretly controlled half the supply, for instance, didn't survive serious scrutiny of the data. Paradoxically, that same transparency made the system both traceable and resistant to capture. You could follow the flow of funds, but no one could quietly rewrite yesterday's ledger to erase a debt or conjure new balance, like trying to edit one brick in a skyscraper without the whole structure noticing. The rules treated everyone, early adopters, latecomers, even the mysterious creator, exactly the same. For critics of bailouts and backroom deals, this wasn't just a new kind of asset, it felt like a direct challenge to how money had always worked. Some early users treated those first cheap coins like arcade tokens, useful for trying things, not hoarding. A programmer famously traded 10,000 units for 2 pizzas, less a financial decision than a live fire test. Could this thing buy something in the real world, or was it just screen math? Small websites began offering digital trinkets, VPN access, or forum perks in exchange for tiny amounts, partly to signal they were in on the experiment. Developers pushed further. Could you lock funds so they only moved if multiple people signed? They built multi-signature wallets. Could you send value that couldn't be spent until a future block? They used time-locked transactions. Each new trick stretched the system from internet cash toward programmable money, even if no one called it that yet. Gradually, niche markets formed where traditional payment rails were clumsy, censorable, or too expensive. That's where this strange new asset first felt less like a toy and more like infrastructure in the making. Prices, meanwhile, began behaving less like a quirky game score and more like a weather system. Sudden storms, long droughts, occasional record highs. New players arrived with different motives. Savers hedging against inflation, traders chasing volatility, builders treating it as neutral plumbing for new apps. As other chains, stablecoins, and central bank projects emerged, this original network turned into a benchmark, like a starting block other runners timed themselves against. The open question now, is it the finish line too? Today, that quiet PDF echoes through trading floors, group chats, and policy debates. Some treat it like digital gold, others like venture capital rocket fuel, and some as protest art made of code. Your challenge this week: trace one real-world decision, a company treasury move, a law, or a startup idea, back to this rebellion in how we think about value. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!